Good day, fish tankers. Today we're going to talk a little bit about a nano tank, this little aquarium over here. This is a 5-gallon aquarium, about 20 liters. It measures 36 by 22 by 26 centimeters. And it's not really a standard size here in South Africa. We started a 3.5-gallon size, which I think is very, very small. And then we go up from there. But it's a popular American size, my friends are in the States. And here in South Africa, we do get them. But we don't really get them in float glass aquariums unless you have them custom made. But those white glass aquariums like this one, a low iron glass, the Crab Aqua tanks and several other brands, you can get these 5-gallon tanks. Now, as you can see, what's nice about this tank, it sits here on a bookshelf, doesn't take up much space. It's something that you can have on your desk for just a tiny little bit of life in there. I wouldn't recommend this tank size for beginners. People like to say that small tanks are inherently unstable. It's not that they are inherently unstable. I think it's just that they're very easily overstocked and you have very small margins for error. If you feed a little bit too much in a 55-gallon tank, it's not going to be any trouble. But if you overfeed in a tank like this, things can go south very quickly. So I don't think it's a tank for a beginner. It's more for somebody who's been in the hobby a little while and then just wants a small little tank there with a couple of fish swimming around. But what can you put in them? You're quite limited, but there are a few options. Do you want to find out what they are? Then stick around. Now, number one choice would be what I've got in this little tank, and that is a pea puffer sorority. Now, general wisdom will tell you, or most things on the internet, that a 5-gallon tank is big enough for a single pea puffer, and it's mostly about aggression issues. There's only 3 of them here now. I used to have 4, and the fourth one died in an unfortunate accident when I was cleaning the tank. But I had 4 in here, and now there's 3, and no trouble at all. But I think the secret why this tank bucks all the rules that you read out there is because they're all females. I'll put it up here on the screen. You'll see the female is more rounded, the color is lighter, and it's got a round spot there at the side of her body. And then if you look at the male, they are a little bit different, and they have more yellowish color. The body is more elongated. If you look at them from the side, that spot on the side of a belly sort of elongates into a stripe. So that's how you tell them apart. So I think the reason why this works is because there's only females in here. So if you can find the puffers at a big enough size where you can sex them, then I'd say try and do what I do here and go for the 4 pea puffers. But otherwise, if you're unsure, just keep a single pea puffer or keep a couple, but make sure you have somebody that's going to take the pea puffers if you have to remove from some when you get aggression issues. But they're a great wet pet, very personable. What you have to know about these fish is they're not going to eat flake food. So you're going to have to feed them frozen brine shrimp and bloodworm. I like to add a bit of vitamins to it as well. And I just keep it in a small little baby food jar. I just take off little pieces from the bigger blocks and I have it then in the fridge so I can feed them easily and quickly in the mornings. And for the pea puffers, the same as anything else that you put in this tank, because it's small, you've got to watch the flow. So put either is an air-driven filter here. This has got the plenum, the slow-moving undergravel filter, and a tiny sponge filter. The tiny sponge filter on its own is perfectly adequate. You can also use one of those small little power filters, internal power filters, but it's got to be a really, really small nano one, and then you might have to deflect the flow against the glass so that there's not too much flow, which is especially important for our second choice, and this is a betta and snail combo. Right, now I know the choice is very boring because that's what everybody puts in a 5-gallon tank, but a betta to me is never boring. They have different personalities. Some are much more bolshy than others, and I enjoy them like that. So a good option for this tank could be a single betta, can be a male or a female. These days the females are almost as colorful, and I will put with it a nearite snail, a single nearite snail, and if you're lucky it might be a male, so you don't even have to deal with those little eggs getting laid. And nearite snails, as we know, don't breed in fresh water, so there's no danger of a tank being overrun by snails. But when you have a nice stripy or spotty nearite snail together with a single betta, a very nice wet pet for something at work, and the snail can just do a bit of cleanup, provide a bit of interest. What about choice number 3? Now here we can go for an Endler trio. So you don't want them breeding in here, it's too small. So I would just put in 3 Endler males. You can have different colors, but 3 or so Endlers could also do really well in here. And you can chuck the Nereid snail in as well, because the Endlers usually, they like a little bit of hardness in the water. So a bit of coral, sand, maybe a little bit of alkaline buffer. If your water is soft like mine, the snails need it for their shells as well, so keep that in mind. So you can have a snail along with 3 male Endler guppies and you are good to go. Now, what will we do for the 4th choice? I would say, let's try a really nano fish. And you want a shoal of them, so I would go for 8, and I would go for Chiliras boras. I have a tank nicely planted, and 8 Chiliras boras can do really well in a nano tank like this one. So is there anything that you can maybe put with a Chiliras boras, except once again a single Nereid snail? You're a little bit squeezed for space. I think one could perhaps try just 6 or so green neon tetras, because the green neon tetras are smaller than the neon tetra, and with the Chiliras boras more staying on top and the green neons more at the bottom. I think that's a combination. As long as you don't stock them all at once, you make the tank run in very well. But the Chiliras boras and the green neon tetras can go well together. So those are my 4 stocking combinations for a 5-gallon 20-litre tank. As I've said, go get one of these crab aqua type low iron tanks. You can even get the Fluval Spec if you want to spend that much money, because you don't have them in the Darrow float class tanks like we have here in South Africa. But we do have those tanks that I've mentioned. Guys, if you like this content, please remember, smack that like button. And also, please take advantage of the discount code at Jungle Aquatics left here in the description. Unfortunately, we only ship in South Africa. Hopefully, we can get something that you international guys can benefit from. Please remember to share the content among your fishy groups. And thank you to everybody who has subscribed. Please consider subscribing if you haven't. And until I see you guys again, keep on taking good care of those domestic denizens of the deep.